Om Shri Sai Ram. I offer my grateful and loving pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet and welcome you all to this Satsang from Prasanthi Nilayam. Christmas celebrations just concluded in Prasanthi and you can feel still the joy in the air and as they say, love everywhere and people are now converging for New Year. There are so many who want to start their New Year in Prasanthi Nilayam. They want to start their new year on a brighter note, and there cannot be a brighter way to start than with Swami, soaking in the bliss that is Prasanthi. We want to offer our gratitude to Swami for everything that has happened in the past year, everything that has happened till now. We have our dreams, we have our wishes, we have our aspirations, and we want to pray to Bhagawan. As the new year starts, we want to start on a beautiful note. And in every lip, there is a prayer. And I want to begin this satsang with a New Year prayer. Yes, this is a very special prayer and I'll tell you in a bit why, but this is how the prayer goes. Oh Lord, I firmly believe that there is none kinder than you to shower your grace on me. Tell me, is this not the reason why I'm holding on to your feet? Oh Lord, I firmly believe that you will respond very quick if I pray and plead. Tell me, is this not the reason why I'm crying aloud for you? Oh Lord, I firmly believe that you are ever beside me, setting my steps aright. Tell me, is this not the reason why I feel I am yours through day and night? Oh Lord, I firmly believe that you'll never say no to every prayer of mine. Tell me, is this not the reason why I long for a glance from you? Why this delay in conferring the boons? What have you designed for me this time? However long it may take, I will wait and wail, but I will never leave. I will stand still until your loving looks fall on me, until your eyes turn towards me. Such a soul-stirring prayer, isn't it? It almost feels like someone has penned every pang of your heart and so beautifully articulated it. It almost feels like someone has captured every emotion of your heart. Now, what if I tell you that this was written by someone who knows your heart through and through? It was written by someone who is the ruler of your heart, who gave you your heart in the first place. Yes, it was written by Bhagawan on a New Year day. Imagine the New Year has dawned and Bhagawan with his delicate hands is preparing a special card for you. And in that card, he's writing this pearl of a prayer. And then he adds, my dear one, begin your new year with this prayer. I bless you that endowed with long life and good health, surrounded by family and friends, you continue to imbibe joy through wisdom and devotion. I bless you that your days are spent in the service of the Sarveshwara. I bless you that you're filled with abundant peace and happiness. Imagine if such a card came from Bhagavan. Sounds too good to be true, right? But this is what exactly happened 70 years ago. In 1960, Bhagavan wrote this poem for his darling devotee, Professor Kasturi. And the story does not end there. Swami did not give it to Professor Kasturi When he came for morning darshan on New Year Day, he did not materialize it and give it to him. You know what Swami did? The sweet Swami that he is, he sent someone to Bukkapatnam to post it there. So he's sending someone to Bukkapatnam, which is 5 kilometers away, when the addressee of that card was just 5 meters away. And when this card came searching for Professor Kasturi on the New Year morning, when Professor Kasturi opened this card, imagine his joy, his surprise, his thrill. He was euphoric. He could not convey, he didn't know how to convey his gratitude. Gratitude was gushing forth. He wanted to go to Swami and fall at Swami's feet and express what this means to him. But he said, it was a moment when I was rendered absolutely incapable of speech and movement. Professor Kasturi, the brilliant biographer, the erudite author, the master storyteller, the translator par excellence, humorist, poet, someone who has written and won awards for his dramas, for his playwrights, someone who the literary world looked up to for his language, for his similes, for his stories, for a moment. Professor Kasturi says that I had no words. I was dumbfounded and drowned in Swami's love. Very interestingly, we just celebrated Christmas. And on Christmas, we glorify the Divine Father for gifting us the Divine Son. But Swami says there is another reason why you should adore the Divine Father on Christmas Day, because it was on this day that Bhagawan chose to gift us not only the Son of God, but also the pen of God. Yes, the pen of God, Professor Kasturi. He was born on Christmas Day, 1897. And that's the reason why we thought we should share some of the beautiful snippets from his life, because December 25th is special for all of us, Sai brothers and sisters. When Professor Kasturi was born, his parents took him to a Shiva temple because they had made a vow that they will offer their first child to the deity, to be the deity's servant. So they go to the Shiva temple and they placed baby Kasturi on a banana leaf, and the parents are circumambulating the shrine. And suddenly, the priest comes out and calls the parents and he says, I have a message for you from Shiva himself. The priest was perhaps a realized soul. Says, I'm hearing this message from Shiva. The Lord is telling, there is a child in my hands. Tell this couple that they have to foster this child with love and care for me. They have to raise this child for me. It was Shiva in his invisible form telling Professor Kasturi, you are mine. This happened just 11 days after his birth. But this incident repeated in a different fashion in 1948, when the same Shiva, now as Shiva Shakti Swarupa, now as Bhagawan Shri Sathya Sai Baba, told him, when the first time Professor Kasturi was seeing Swami and trying to figure out this beautiful form, Swami goes to Professor Kasturi in a house of a devotee in Bangalore, and Swami says, you are going to write my biography. The first time he's seeing Swami, he has no clue about who this person is. He has no clue about what his life is all about. And Swami says, I know. You have a lot of problems. The university is not giving you the degree that you deserve. You have worked for so many years. Don't worry, that will get sorted out. I know the wedding of your daughter is not happening. The boy that you have arranged for your daughter, he's not agreeing, but that will also happen. I know you want your mother to be happy. All of this will happen. Don't worry. And Professor Kasturi is thinking, oh my God, who is this person who is reading me like an open book? He knows everything about me. And just as Bhagwan had told, in a few days, everything seemed to fall in place. He got promoted. He became a principal of a college. The daughter's marriage happened. His mother was ecstatic. And Professor Kasturi says the way everything happened, it was too sudden to sink in. It was too sweet to swallow. It was too light for my mind to comprehend. And it was absolutely too good to be true. But that is how Professor Kasturi began his journey to Bhagawan. That is how the love story started. And from then on, he kept coming to Prasanthi every time there was an opportunity. As he says, whenever there was a comma, there was a semicolon, there was a question mark, there was an exclamation mark, anything in my life, I used to come to Prasanthi Nilayam. He was in Bangalore. I never missed a chance to come to Prasanthi. And those were the times when he was discovering Bhagawan. So one day, Swami tells Professor Kasturi, Kasturi, tell me which is right, to make hot milk cooler by pouring it from one cup to the other, or to take that cup of hot milk and keep it in a basin of cold water for it to come to the temperature of the tongue. Which is the right way to cool the hot milk? And Professor Kasturi was flabbergasted. What is this question out of nowhere? He had no clue. And then Swami says, you go and ask your mother and tell her what she's doing is not right. And when he goes back and he asks mother, and she says that every day she used to offer Bhagwan this milk as prasadam, as naivedyam. And so she used to take this milk, and to cool the milk, she used to keep it in a basin of cold water. And Professor Kasturi is like, oh my God. He's been tracking me every second of my life. And slowly, Professor Kasturi started syndicating the saga of Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Swami said, I will tell you whom to talk to. Even as he discovered the divine personality, the divine avatar that Bhagawan was, Swami told him, speak to this person, speak to their family. And that is how he started collecting information to write Sathyam Shivam Sundaram. And at the same time, he became one of the pillars of Prasanthi Nilayam. Now, to become part of Prasanthi Nilayam, Swami says that you have to have 4 qualifications. Now, what are the qualifications? Let me begin with the first. So, when Professor Kasturi started coming to Prasanthi Nilayam, in those days, there were hardly any people to manage the ashram. So, once he shifted to Prasanthi Nilayam, this was in the late 50s, Professor Kasturi had to handle so many responsibilities. So he was the one who looked after the canteen. He was the one who looked after the accommodation. He was the one who was the PRO of the ashram. He was the one every person went to if they had a question, especially Westerners, when they wanted someone who can speak English. So he was the one who was, of course, with Bhagawan, translating his discourses, taking instructions from Bhagawan. He's like the secretary of the ashram and handling so many responsibilities. And it is during this time that the Postmaster General from Hyderabad comes to Prasanthi and he tells, Swami, we can start a post office in Prasanthi Nilayam, but for that we need a person who can be a postmaster. And for someone to be a postmaster, they have to have some reasonable degrees and they have to be at least a pensioner of some government authority. And when they looked around ashram, it was only Professor Kasturi who was eligible. And when it was mentioned to Professor Kasturi, who was a principal and who had held such exalted positions, Swami was there when this was suggested to Professor Kasturi, that will you become the postmaster? And he gladly said yes. And Swami said, Professor Kasturi, postmaster, doesn't sound so good, right? Not so appropriate. Who was a former principal. And Professor Kasturi says, Swami, I am not any ordinary postmaster, Swami. I am the postmaster of Prashanti Nilayam. And Swami was so pleased with that answer. The first qualification to be in Prashanti Nilayam, Swami says, is Maitri. Without ego, to be able to love everyone without any reservation, without any hesitation, without ego, to be humble, to be able to take up any task without any condition. Maitri is a one who has that loving heart, who has no hatred, no feeling of high, low, this work is high, this work is low, this person is not so good, this person, no prejudice. Only such a person can be truly humble. And only such a person who is humble can be friendly with everyone. And Maitri is someone who can be friendly with everyone without ego. You are friendly to everyone without distinction. That is the first qualification, Swami says, to be in Prashanti, to experience Prashanti. Not only this job, when Sanatan Sarthi started in 1958, now that the post office also was in Prashanti Nilayam, Professor Kasturi was this one-man army. So he not only wrote the Satyam, the Sanatana Sarathi, not only edited, not only proofread, he was the one who printed. And in those days, you had those very basic machines. So it was a hand machine. So he was the one who was on the treadle printing, and they had to do the typesetting. And after typesetting, it has to dry. He was the one who used to collate. He was the one who used to pack. He was the one who write the addresses. He was the one who used to post. And now that the post office was in Prashantilayam, you had the stamp of Prashantilayam. But for that stamp of Prashantilayam to come, these Sanatana Sarthi issues had to be cut. But there was no cutting machine in Prashantilayam. So you know what Professor Kasturi used to do? After the issues are done, these 3,000 copies of Sanatana Sarthi, he would put them in two big boxes and he would load them onto a bullock cart, and these boxes would go to Bukkapatnam. In Bukkapatnam, he would put them atop a bus to go to Penukonda. In Penukonda, the bus will stop before the Penukonda railway station. It will be unloaded from the bus. It will be put in a passenger train which will go to Bangalore. In Bengaluru, once it is unloaded from the train, in a horse carriage, these boxes will be taken to the press where it will be cut. After it is cut, in the horse carriage, it will come to the house of a devotee where, with the help of few volunteers, they will collate everything. They will put the wrappers, they will size all the issue, put the names, and then pack it back and follow the entire exercise. Horse carriage, come back to the train, come back to Penukonda, unload from the bus, come back to Bukkapatnam, take the bullock cart, come to Prashanti Nilayam, so that from Prashanti Nilayam you can put that stamp that this is from Prashanti Nilayam, from the post office of Prashanti Nilayam, just for that stamp, to give everyone that joy that they are getting something from Prashanti. Because anything coming from Prashanti is like, for people, it's like heaven coming into their home, right? Anything coming from Prashanti, be it a vibhuti, be it a magazine, be it a book, just to give that joy. This is the exercise that Professor Kasturi did. He had no feeling that how can I do this job? I'm the editor. I'm not a worker. Never had any such feeling. And he did this not for a day, not for 2 days, not for a month, not for 6 months, 1 year, for 2 long years. This was how 3,000 copies of Sanatan Sarathi went into the homes of devotees. The first qualification, as I said, to be in Prashanti is without ego. Can I love everyone without distinction? Can I be so humble to accept any work without any reservation? 1970, Professor Anil Kumar was in Prashanti for the first time. And he had come with his 4 children. All were very small. The eldest was still in his arms. It was morning time. Everyone was rushing for darshan. And one of the children of Professor Anil Kumar started crying. He wanted water. And Professor Anil Kumar didn't know where to go because everyone was rushing toward darshan. And he just saw that a old man coming out of the house. It was Professor Kasturi. He was also rushing for darshan. He said, "Hello, if you don't mind, can you do me a favor? My son, he's crying for water. He's so thirsty. Can you give me a little water?" And Professor Kasturi stops. He goes inside, even though he is the one who has to be there in the veranda first. When Bhagawan comes, he goes inside, gives him water. He asks him, "What's your name? What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm a professor. I'm working in a college in Guntur." And then Professor Anil Kumar says, "I'm very sorry. I delayed your darshan. I know you are also rushing for darshan. I'm really very sorry." And Professor Kasturi then replies, "Mr. Anil Kumar, serving water to you is more important than rushing for darshan. I know this is what will make my Swami happy. I know this is what will bring a smile on my Swami's face." The second qualification to be in Prasanthi, to experience Prasanthi is, Swami says, Karuna. With warmth can our love exude as compassion. 1975, the Second World Conference was to be held in the month of November. And there was Mr. Vadegaonkar, a very, very devoted servant of the Lord, who would be there in Prasanthi Nilayam for all major occasions to construct temporary toilets and washrooms. He was the one who would bring a band of volunteers from Nagpur, from various parts of Maharashtra, and they would create all these facilities for devotees. And he would never employ any worker, any carpenter. All the sevadals would do, because he would always say that, if I bring someone who, they will only work for money. When we do something out of a love for not money but Swami, it's always different. So his band of volunteers would construct these temporary toilets. During 85th birthday Bhagawan, they constructed 200 toilets inside the ashram, another 200 toilets outside the ashram, and very silent work. When he initially came to Swami, Vadegaonkar ji also saw how everyone was running towards Swami, and he thought, how can I get Swami's attention? What can I do so that Swami runs towards me? And he figured, he says, that if I do seva, then Swami himself will run towards me. And that's what he made as the mantra of his life. So he had come during Guru Purnima of 1975 for Swami's permission to have these toilets built in November. He wanted Bhagwan's grace for that. And the Guru Purnima festival was over, and he could not get any audience with Bhagawan. And he saw that one morning Swami's car has started, and he heard Swami is leaving. And as Bhagawan was leaving, Swami, through the window of the car, Swami just indicated to him, wait. And so Vadegaonkar ji waited. He thought maybe Swami will come back in a day or 3 days. But Swami did not come. It was 2 days, 3 days, 1 week. Now it was becoming very difficult for Vadegaonkar ji, because he was a man of very few resources. In fact, he had no money. So he started living on one dosa every day. And to make matters worse, a year ago, his wife was stuck with a paralytic attack, and his wife was bedridden. He had 4 children, 4 daughters to be raised. So his wife had a lot of problem there. He wanted to return as soon as possible. And now he has no clue when Swami is going to come. He was absolutely distressed and desolate. And so one day, he saw Professor Kasturi at work. Bhagawan was not here. He saw him uh, writing. And Professor Kasturi, as I said, was someone anybody could approach. He was that universal friendly person. Anybody could go and talk to him. And everyone would get a warm hello. Everyone would get a loving pat. Everyone would get something which will uplift. Everyone would get some story about Swami. That's how Professor Kasturi was. And Vadagamkarji went to Professor Kasturi and poured out his pain. And Professor Kasturi was so moved. He said, "Why are you worrying? Swami will take care. You know what? Even my wife is bedridden." And he took him to his home. Professor Kasturi's wife was indeed confined to the bed for so many years. And Mrs. Kasturi started talking to this person. And when she heard the plight of Vadagamkarji, Mrs. Kasturi started crying. He said, "I know how painful it is to be in this position, in this state. I can't imagine what a tragic situation it will be for your wife to look after 4 children and you not being there." And she started crying. And Vadagamkarji says, the way they expressed empathy and love, I forgot all my sorrows. Karuna, to be in Prasanthi, Swami says, if with warmth, love can exude from you as compassion, that is the second qualification that you need to have to be in this holy hamlet, to experience Prasanthi, no matter where you are. And as I said, Professor Kasturi's wife was bedridden. She was bedridden not for 1 year or 2 years. She was bedridden for 11 years and no one knew about it. Professor Kasturi had a son who passed away when he was a teenager, when he was doing his engineering. No one knew about it. Professor Kasturi had his second son come to live with him. After his retirement, he was a very distinguished geologist, a scientist. When Professor Kasturi was 85, he was 60. Finally, Professor Kasturi was getting time to spend with his son, and they used to together do Harikathas, Burakathas, and Sai Kathas. And he also passed away. He never talked about this. Professor Kasturi's daughter had a very, very difficult marriage. Marriage was always on the rocks. He had to look after the daughter. He had to look after the grandchildren. He never ever talked about it, never ever mentioned anything about it to anyone. There was not a mountain. There was a Himalayan range in his heart. So heavy it was. But the only memory that people have of Kasturi is the way he lifted us. Professor Kasturi, that beautiful instrument of Bhagawan who was always smiling. Professor Kasturi, who wherever we went to, he uplifted us. Professor Kasturi, who could tell one incident of Swami for 1 hour. Professor Kasturi, who when we went to and we showed a photograph, he said, "No, you could have taken it this way." Professor Kasturi, when we showed an article, he would suggest, "No, you could have added this thing and it would have been even more beautiful." Professor Kasturi, who was willing to talk and help anyone, anytime. That smile never faded. Swami says, this is the third qualification to be in Prasanthi. No matter what, to smile and to be in jubilation. That is the third qualification. And this smile, this sense of humor, this sense of always brightening everything around, gave him such bonus blessings, bonus grace to Professor Kasturi. There was this very interesting incident where one day Bhagawan had gone for a drive, and when he returned, Professor Kasturi was with Swami in the car, and then as Swami alighted from the car, Swami saw on the veranda 3 elders, and all of them, 3 elders, one of them was Ram Murthy, another was Krishna Murthy, another was another Murthy, and all these three went inside. Swami had asked them to go inside for an interview, and Professor Kasturi was sneaking in. He was not asked to go, but he was quietly sneaking in. Swami said, "Hey, Kasturi, did you see? They are all Murtis. Are you a Murti?" Swami said, "I am also a Murti." See, God is also adored as Ganesh ji ki Murti, Devi ji ki Murti. God is also adored as a Murti. Swami said, "See, they are all Murtis. I am also a Murti, but you are not a Murti. How can you go in?" And Professor Kasturi said, "Swami, I may not be a Murti, but if I go in, it will become Purti, it will become complete." And Swami was so happy. He had a hearty laugh and he allowed him to be in the interview room. Bonus blessings, because you always thought how to brighten, how to look at the bright side, how to convert every situation which was desolate into something that can dazzle. And that occasion, he was just sitting in the room, and there was this mark on his head, forehead. On his forehead, he used to put this vibhuti mark, a big. In fact, he used to cover his entire forehead with vibhuti mark. And Swami said, one day, looking at that vibhuti on his forehead, "Hey, Kasturi, what is that bandage that you have put on your head?" And Professor Kasturi said, "Swami, this is not a bandage, Swami. This is what will take me out of bondage. This is what will take me out of this bondage of life and death." And Swami was so happy. He burst out laughing, and there began another session of interesting and enlivening conversation with Professor Kasturi and Swami. When he used to go for talks, Swami would say, "Hey, Kasturi, go. They want you to dance. Go and dance." And he would say, "Yes, Swami, I will dance because I'm going to talk about your glory. I can only dance in joy because I'm going to tell about your stories, your magnificence, your munificence, your omnipresence. I will dance." That is what Professor Kasturi exuded. He embodied this third qualification. No matter what, smile and always be in jubilation. One day, Padma Kasturi, his daughter, came to Professor Kasturi and said, "Father, I'm unable to understand you. When my children come from Bangalore, you talk to them so nicely, you spend so much time with them, you are so endearing to them, you seem so attached to them. And there are times when I feel you're so removed. You're so out of this world. It's like you're in a different world. It's like you don't belong to us." And Professor Kasturi said, "See, this is how I'm duping you also. This is the game I'm playing. This is how you're not able to understand me also." Swami says, the fourth qualification to be in Prasanthi is play the life, go through life as a game. Play the game, but be detached and focus only on your evolution. Focus not on anything of the world. Discharge your responsibilities. Go through life as if it is a game, but your attachment is only towards your evolution. So one day, again, when he had returned after giving a beautiful talk to the devotees, Padma Kasturi went to her father and said, "Father, you go and give all these beautiful talks. You tell them this is what Swami did. This is how Swami saved that person. This is how Swami saved and rescued this child. You tell all these stories and people are very happy. But you tell me, what has Swami done for you? What has Swami done for us? Look at my life. I have so many marital problems. Look at mother. She is bedridden." And Professor Kasturi says, "From your perspective, Padma, whatever you say may be right, but I never want Swami to do anything only for me. I never want Swami to do anything specifically for me, my family. I know my Swami is perfect. He is God. Whatever he does, it is for my best. And when he blesses that farmer, I feel he's blessing me. When he blesses that teacher, I feel he's blessing me. When he's giving advice to that poor laborer, I feel he's blessing me. I am not attached only to just a few who are around me here. Whomever Swami blesses, he's blessing me. Play the game of life, but be detached and be ever attached to only your evolution. That is the fourth qualification of being in Prasanthi. This is called Upeksha. Maitri, Karuna, Mudita is to be always smiling. And then you have Upeksha. Swami says these are the 4 qualifications if you want to experience the bliss that is Prasanthi. When Professor Kasturi's son passed away and someone went and asked Kasturi how he was feeling, he said, his station has come, so he got down. When my station comes, I will get down. And the way Professor Kasturi got down his station is a really enlightening story. A year before he passed away in 1987, Professor Kasturi had some back problem and he was unable to sit. And Swami said, you come for darshan in a wheelchair. And when he came in a wheelchair, Swami would joke and Swami would say, hey Kasturi, you have become now a chairman, no election, no selection, and you have become a chairman. I mean, that is the relationship that was there between Swami and Kasturi. And at that time, he was weak and he unfortunately had an attack of jaundice. And it was a summertime and Bhagawan left for Vrindavan. And when Bhagawan left for Vrindavan, Professor Kasturi used to ask people how it is, how is my Swami? Because, those were times when he could not have darshan and Swami left. It was already a painful thing for him that he was unable to go and sit down. And now Swami has gone to Vrindavan. To make matters worse, there's one devotee who came from Vrindavan and he said, Swami did not come out for darshan for 3 days. Swami had gone out of his body to save a devotee. He came only after 3 days and Swami was looking frail. Swami was looking weak. When that person told this to Professor Kasturi was in the bed, but he started crying. He started weeping. He said, my Swami is not well. My Swami is not looking fine. I have to go. He told Padma, take me to Vrindavan. I have to go to Vrindavan. And Padma said, I cannot take you to Vrindavan. You are not in a position to travel. There is no way you can go. So, no, I don't care. I have to go. My Swami is not well. He says, see, you are not just my father. You are the property of Prasanthi. I have to tell Mr. Kutumrao, the secretary. No, don't tell him. They will ask Swami and then Swami will tell, no, we will just go. You call a cab, we will just go. He said, no, I cannot do that. Okay, if you have to tell Kutumrao, you tell after 10. Because by the time Swami would have retired and he will have no way of communicating anything to Swami, we will just inform and then we'll go off. And Padma Kasturi informs Kutumrao Garu, and Kutumrao Garu rushes there along with Alreja and says, try to convince us, Kasturi, please not travel. And somehow they persuade him. They tell, the cab is not good, sir. It's very shaky. It'll be very uncomfortable for you. And somehow they postpone his going. And he says, if you want, you write a letter to Swami. I'll take that letter. And Professor Kasturi, with his shaky hands, no energy to lift even the pen, he writes a letter. And Padma Kasturi saw that he was unable to write because he is absolutely so weak. And so it was just a sorry scribble on the paper. So Padma Kasturi thought, Swami cannot actually make out what Kasturi sir has written. So he thought she will add a note and attach it along with it. So that, when Swami says, Swami can make out what Professor Kasturi was trying to say. And Professor Kasturi says, no, 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 you can't do that. You can't send your letter. This is misuse of privilege. Kutum Rao is empowered to take only a letter from me. Just because I'm sending a letter, you cannot give your letter to Kutum Rao. You post it in the normal way. Look at the integrity of that person. And that letter is taken by Kutum Rao. And the most beautiful thing happens. There's a response from Bhagawan. April 1987. Swami sends a note. Kasturi, accept my blessings. Don't be afraid. Have no fear. Think only about Swami. The body is a water bubble. Think only about me, nothing else. And Professor Kasturi reads that and he derives some solace. But that is not enough. He's longing to go and see Swami. So every day he's crying. Every day he's telling Padma, you take me to Vrindavan, you take me to Vrindavan. It is almost as if Swami could not contain the pang of separation that Professor Kasturi was experiencing in Prasanthi. There's another letter that came from Bhagawan in June 1987, where Swami again says, Kasturi, accept my blessings. I am with you, in you, around you. The only sadhana that you need to do is just think only of God. I have no other thought. I am coming. Wait for Sai. Wait for Sai. And in the month of June, before Guru Purnima, Swami comes, and the day Swami comes, Professor Kasturi rushes in his wheelchair for Bhagavan's darshan. And Swami also comes to his presence, and Swami says, Kasturi, your evening is approaching. Be ready. Be ready. And the Guru Purnima celebrations happened. Something absolutely inexplicable happened on the Guru Purnima day. Padma Kasturi had gone for Bhagavan's discourse, Guru Purnima discourse, and her son Ramesh Kasturi was with the grandfather. Even as Bhagavan was giving the discourse, when Swami was speaking, suddenly Professor Kasturi in his room tells Ramesh Kasturi, Kasturi is dead. I am Atma. Go and tell everyone. Ramesh, go and tell everyone. Kasturi is dead. I am Atma. And Ramesh Kasturi could not understand what his grandfather is saying. He actually got very frightened. So he rushed out and went and called his mother. When Padma Kasturi came, Professor Kasturi again said, go and tell everyone, Kasturi is dead. I am Atma. From today, don't ask me to eat anything. Don't feed me with anything. I don't want anything. I am Atma. The most beautiful thing that happened from that moment onwards is that intense craving that he had for Swami also absolutely became quiet. From that moment, Kasturi sir became absolutely still. He wanted only silence. There is craving when there is separation of devotee and the divine. But when there is no separation, there is no craving. It is just bliss in that dense, beautiful, elevating silence. And he was in that state. In fact, he never liked even anyone whispering in his room. Swami said that take him to the hospital, because if I come to see him here, a lot of people will come to the room. He was taken to the hospital. In the hospital room, even if they wanted to talk, they had to go outside the room, because he wanted absolute absolute silence. They wanted to play Vishnu Sahasranam. He said, no, don't play anything, nothing. Just silence. Swami came on August 7th to the hospital, and Swami personally fed him a glass of water. And Swami said, Kasturi, think only of Swami. Think only of Swami. And a week passed in that blissful state that Professor Kasturi was, but his body was becoming frail. On August 14th, they saw that he was having breathing difficulty. It was communicated to Swami. Swami, he is having, should we do any procedure? Should we do anything to revive? This was 1 or 2 days before August 14th. Swami said, don't do anything. He is fine. Nothing needs to be done. On August 14th, he was almost in a semi-conscious state. He was even not even responding to everyone, and everyone got frightened because he was absolutely no response to any stimuli. And they conveyed the message to Swami. Swami said, the time is coming. Time is coming. Don't do anything. On that day, August 14th, 1987, Swami had gone to the Institute auditorium to see the drama rehearsal of the boys. At 11:30, Swami suddenly stands up and Swami says, I have to go, Kasturi is calling. And Swami rushes to the general hospital. Swami goes straight to the room, and when Swami goes and Swami calls in his ear, Kasturi, Kasturi, Professor Kasturi, suddenly, as if he's revived, he wakes up and he folds his hands. He wants to offer his namaskar. Swami catches a hold of his hand, and Swami creates vibhuti, and Swami puts it on his forehead, in his arms, his whole body. And Swami asks, did he take anything from morning? And Padma Kasturi says, no, Swami, I just wetted his lips with coconut water. Swami asked Padma Kasturi to take namaskar. Swami asked Ramesh Kasturi to take namaskar, as if saying, from now on, you are all my responsibility. And then Swami says to everyone, 1 hour more, 1 hour more. Continue to do bhajans. Continue to chant Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. And just as Bhagawan had mentioned, sharp at 12:30, even as everyone around was chanting Om Sai Ram, Om Sai Ram, Om Sai Ram, Professor Kasturi became one with his beloved, happily, serenely, beautifully, fragrantly. And Swami sent message that people can offer homage to him now, but you should start bhajans. Swami said, continue bhajans till 7 in the evening in that room. And then Swami said, after that, close the door. Nobody needs to be there in that room. Generally, people are afraid. They don't like to leave a dead body alone. Swami said, nothing will happen. No harm will happen to the body. Leave him alone. Just close the door. And after bhajans till 7, they closed the door. Next morning at 6, when they opened the door, it was almost like the room was so heavy. The door, when they're trying to open, they were unable to open the door. Someone was pushing it. There was some presence inside. And when they finally opened the door and when they went in, they saw a Kasturi who was effulgent, who was glowing, who was brilliant. Professor Kasturi, whose face had shrunken and whose face had become dry and dark. Today, something had happened in the night. He was absolutely as if revived. He was a different avatar. And Swami said, grand procession should be done. Everybody should participate in the procession. 11:30, the canteen was closed so that everybody should join. There was Vedam, bhajans, band, everything. And Swami said that in the evening, there is no need to do any rituals. Swami told Padma Kasturi, he has attained what he has to attain. There is no need to do any ritual for him. Swami Karunyananda, who used to live with Bhagawan, a very revered saint, he came to Padma Kasturi and said, earlier I had only heard about Kapala Moksha. I saw what is Kapala Moksha. Kapala Moksha is when the life principle leaves your body through the center of the skull, and only an enlightened people have that kind of emerger. Said, I saw Kapala Moksha. Swami said, there is nothing that needs to be done for him, because everything that he has to attain, he has attained. That Prasanthi, he was in that state of Prasanthi because he qualified and passed that test, that entrance test of Maitri, of Karuna, of Mudita, of Upeksha. To be able to, without ego, love everyone. To be able to, with warmth, exude love as compassion. To be able to come what may, smile and be full of jubilation. And to be able to play the game of life, be detached but only be attached to your evolution. That is how one makes one's life a saga of his story. One becomes a part of his story. One becomes a part of Prasanthi when one qualifies all these tests. Professor Kasturi is no more but the fragrant life, the fragrant story of his life. Kasturi means fragrance. The fragrance will waft to the hearts and minds of people for generations, illumining them, enlightening them, and goading and taking them towards God, towards peace, towards that absolute ecstasy, silence. I started this talk with a beautiful poem that Swami had written for Professor Kasturi. I firmly believe that there is none kinder than you to shower your grace on me. Tell me, is this not the reason why I'm holding on to your feet? This is the New Year message from Bhagawan, not only to Kasturi, but to all of us. Just like Bhagavad Gita came from Krishna to all of us through Arjuna, all these beautiful messages of Bhagavan came from Bhagavan to us through Professor Kasturi. And as Swami says, all we have to do is to long and hold on to that lotus feet. I firmly believe that there is none kinder than you to shower your grace on me. And that is the reason why I'm holding on to your feet as the new year begins. Let us hold on to his feet. If we hold on to his feet, no matter what, come what may, definitely, in every way, our life will be complete. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful to Bhagawan for giving us this opportunity to relive this fragrant story of Professor Kasturi. The month of December is a time when you cannot but think of him. And I'm grateful to all of you for being with me through this soulful journey. Saram.